Okay. As I said before, my name is David Reiter. I've been here a little bit since '95. I was asked to present the ministry that I'm involved with currently. Very currently. This is, I would say, in its infancy, although there's been folks involved with working with homeless for some time. As a formal ministry, I was asked to lead that fairly recently. So there are some here that probably know a lot more than me, Bob Palmer. And I'm going to give him opportunities to come up here and speak as well, if there's anything that I failed to mention. That picture is from Salzburg, I believe, or Allstadt. Hallstatt. My wife Kim and I, we enjoy traveling. We were blessed to get to go to Austria a few years ago, and I thought on a hot summer day that was a nice picture. And on occasion I have a beard, so now you know what I look like with a beard. As far as myself, I was born in Okie, down in the southwest part of the state. There's a lot of Western Okies here. I noticed when we started attending here, I was meeting more and more people from Western Oklahoma. I grew up most of my life in Wichita, Kansas. I met my wife Kim in Wichita. We attended the same congregation. Our parents were friends before we were. So we've been married since 1988. That's 37 years. This coming July, we will celebrate the 37th. I'm a WUSHOC, WSU graduate in Wichita. That's where I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, most of my life. Came on down here to OU to go to college of dentistry. In '91, I graduated. Went into the Navy Dental Corps for 4 years active duty. Floated around on the ocean for a couple of those years on a big gray ship, USS Peleliu, which is now mothballed. Came back here into private practice with Rick Willingham in 1995 and continued with the Navy Reserves for another 21 years while I was here. My wife, we met in Wichita, I mentioned that. She actually got involved in this homeless ministry and is more involved than I am physically. We'll talk more about that as we go through this. We have 3 sons, all grown, all out of the house now. My oldest, Braden, met and married Julie Hudson here from this congregation. So we are connected with the Hudson/Davidson clans. My youngest, Cale, married Megan McKeever, so we're also connected to the McKeever clan here also. My middle boy, Seth, lives in Austin, not married yet, but we're praying. He has a lovely young lady there that has his attention, so pray with us. Bob is passing out some index cards so that if you have questions or comments or suggestions, or if you just want to pray for this ministry, we want to know about it. So if you, while I'm talking, and take a little time to fill that out, and we'll either gather them up or you can put them back here on the back desk. We would appreciate your input. I debate whether to say homeless ministry, because I've come to learn that doesn't necessarily have a positive connotation to it. Urban ministry, unhoused, I don't know, seems awkward to say, but the bottom line is there's a group of people here that have an interest and took an interest and are taking an interest in helping folks out that are literally homeless. How I got involved, almost 2 years ago maybe, Bob put out an invitation to all the adult classes. Hey, if you want to come check out this ministry that's feeding the homeless in Oklahoma City, we're meeting Thursday night at 6 o'clock, So several of us went, and turned out it was the beginning of a program put on by a gentleman by the name of Wayne Hines and his wife Donna, who have had for some years an existing ministry, GUUM, Grace Urban United Ministry, and a subset of that ministry is Good Samaritan Ministry that has fed homeless down on Capitol Hill, 25th Street, for some time. And they had a facility there where they fed folks out of it. They provided clothing, hygiene needs, and then they had resources to help folks connect with, maybe they need help getting their driver's license or ID or assistance, whatever the case may be. They had a home place. Well, unfortunately, about a year ago, 2 stories, the occupant of the story above them had a fire, and it totaled the building. So they're somewhat homeless now as far as having a home place for their ministry. But it continues. But we got involved with that, and we went to that meeting, and Wayne was presenting a program that is called Radical Life Transformation. It's a mentoring program because you can feed folks physically, and they do that, but they need to be fed spiritually, and that takes a relationship, and it takes time to make that relationship, and it's not always successful. As Bob and Kim can attest, they were working with a lady and her son, adult son. Thought we were making good progress, and then they were gone. I think, not to get into the details, but I think the fact that they were off the street's a positive thing, but we just lost contact. So it's, as Bob said, I'm going to quote you, it's a roller coaster. It's kind of a roller coaster. Ministry can be, if you make contact, make relationships, and then you may lose contact. So anyway, Kim and I and Bob and the Montgomerys continued in those meetings, learning how to mentor, going through that program. And that's not a requirement to be involved with what we're doing here at South Yukon. It's just I'm giving you some background on how I got involved and how Kim got involved. So one of the things they do are Friday lunches, and some of you have participated in that. Some of your home groups, I believe, have been involved with that as well. So, as I said, this ministry is, I would say, somewhat in its infancy. When we grow up, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do, when we grow up. It has a lot of opportunities, a lot of options, various levels of involvement, whether you would want to choose to be directly involved in mentoring, which is kind of a high-level involvement, or simply helping make meals and distribute them, or make meals so others can distribute them. A lot of things that we're trying to figure out. And your feedback and your participation can be instrumental in that. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard of Christian Service Center. We're involved with that organization downtown that's been in the Capitol Hill area for many, many years. For years and years, back when I was working in benevolence, we would sometimes take some of our clothing out of our pantry to go down there when we just didn't have room for it. So that's another form of involvement there is at the Christian Service Center. And there's just individual efforts. Bob goes out and literally takes the opportunities when they present themselves. Encounters someone or finds someone that looks like they could use a meal, he feeds them. It's incredible. I know that's a lot of vague, bit of rambling, but like I said, we're gelling this thing together to figure out how we want to do it, what we're going to do it, what we're capable of doing. So any feedback would be helpful. Bob, do you have anything you'd like to add?
The auditorium when we got up here. You're too kind. Every sheet of paper I want to get back. If you took one of our pens, I want that back too. I at least want this. And David and Kim and I, we all want this. I want your name and your phone number and what you're willing to do. If nothing but pray, put that. We covet your prayers. Now, we used to fix hot meals for the homeless. David's already alluded that we kind of do that, but we do it through Donna and Wayne. But when we were doing it just by ourselves, we had different groups going out to feed the homeless. If you're willing to cook a meal, if you're willing to go with us, let us know any of those, okay? Because we want to know how you want to be involved, okay? Here again, that sheet of paper, the first thing you should put on there is your name and phone number, and then tell us what you could do, okay? Now, David's already said it's a hard group to work with. I've only been working with them about 7 or 8 years, and I kind of feel like we are at square one all over again. We have made inroads with different groups and people, but we're back to square one. You almost want to give up. You almost just say, okay, I've done everything I can do. But we haven't. I cannot thank this congregation enough for what you leave in the closet. Now, many of you already know that you're already involved. You've left food, you've left toiletries, you've left clothing back there. That means you're involved. We take your stuff immediately somewhere. Just know that. If you bring something up here and put it in the closet, it doesn't stay there very long. So this is where we are at, and David can jump back in here. It broke our heart to lose your money. Did you know it affected all of us? And it still does. But we don't take that lightly. We're not going to give up. This is not a ministry that is dying. You can drive by almost every corner on the street and there's someone homeless right there. We don't cater to the panhandlers, really. I have learned to be a little bit more efficient, and let me give you a few ideas of how to do that. In the wintertime, you have left socks and underwear and caps and scarves and all kinds of gloves. I keep a box of that in my car. I don't do it now because it's too hot, but I keep sleeves of crackers. I keep things that I can just hand through the windshield of my vehicle. I don't look for people on the corners. I look for whoever is way off in the field, who is way under a tree, way over there. These people are at the end of their rope, and you are helping them. So that's just something that I do. I'm not saying you need to do that, but we don't give out money. We've helped people with their vehicles. We've helped them tow things. We've helped them pay, and this is not just the homeless, but we've helped them pay rent, low-income people. So all I want from you on this little sheet of paper is your name, phone number, and if all you can do is pray, we want to know that. If you've got a suggestion on somewhere we could go, if you know of a camp, if you could give us that location, we'll go check it out. Kim is probably better at that than anyone. So just keep in mind that don't do it yourself. It's a little bit scary. I'm still a little uncomfortable going into camps. I've been doing it that many years. So it's not an easy ministry at all. But I feel like we're reaching, we're reaching people that we would never reach otherwise. So if you're willing to cook a hot meal, we'd like to know that. We may call on you. If you're willing to, you've got clothes in your closet that you haven't worn in years, we'll come and take them for you. You know, so here's my final plea. I don't want to ramble, and we're probably cutting into some of the other deacons' time, but we are really honing in and looking for a brick and mortar place, because there's where you can get beyond the surface. You can fix meals, you can talk with these people, you can find out where they're from or who are their, you can get on first name basis. So we are really looking for a place that we can leave cooking utensils, having a clothing area, just whatever. And that might be right under our nose. And it may be someone we've got an empty building, just anything like that. A lead could really help us out. Now, that's really all I wanted to say. You have Kim? Yeah. Yeah. So if you didn't hear all that, there are classes on Thursday evening starting in the fall. It's called Radical Life Transformation classes. And those help you to kind of know what to do, how to do certain things. And it gives you practical advice on how to work with the homeless. And that we'll put it in the bulletin the time of those classes. And then we are currently working out of a storage unit right now. Is that in McLeod? Okay. Midwest City. So we do have a small unit that we're able to utilize right now, but it's very limited. Obviously, you can't cook in there. You can't really store things that are perishable. Need men's clothes, 32 to 38 waist. But your wife really likes to chime in there, doesn't she?
Blessed.
She is really, y'all make a good team. Listen, it's, Joe. Question. When are the classes? Where are the classes? (133rd and Western. Is it it's what's it? We'll give you that information. Yeah. We'll yeah. Yeah. If you've got immediate, you want to get rid of things, I would put them in this one, because we'll take them somewhere. And this is what I think. This is why I think you all should at least go one time. We've been going there enough that all we have to do is pull up in front of the building, like the Christian Service Center, and they will surround your vehicle and help you unload. It's like, hey, we're buds now. So, but the sad part about the Christian Service Centers, they do a good work, but they're only there 3 days a week. They're only there Monday through Wednesday. After that, it's they're not at the building. So, question, Reagan. Yes. If you didn't hear that, a lot of them have dogs and cats. They have pets, and they need food for that. Keith is so good at asking me. Our whole relationship is, "Do you need dog food?" It's sort of like, "No, not really. We're brothers in Christ." But anyway, they're great, and it would help if you get a big bag to break it down into smaller bags, because we can't really utilize it in the big bag. We need it in smaller containers. Thank you. Yes. Oh, my helper is my grandson Roland back there. So be sure to say hello to him. He's kind of shy, but for some reason he wants to go to the air show today. What is up with that? Hey, Rod. I'm not hearing.
The worship that we did, that was with the woman and her adult son that we were meeting with.
Yes.
And we would have a Devo. She has since moved on to her brothers, and we're not sure where her son is. So that's part of that roller coaster. I think in her case it was a good thing that she's in the situation she's in.
Yeah, she is now with her brother, and I think it's in Arkansas, Missouri. But Nathan, who we were also working with, he has an addiction. That's all I really can say. And that demon is stronger than he is. We don't talk about some of the ugly. There's some ugly stuff, and it's like the Lord is right in the middle of it, and that's where we need to keep. Merv, you have. We are working on that. I don't know if you heard that. Are we coordinated with any other congregation? We are somewhat with the Capitol Hill Church of Christ. We are with the Memorial Road Church of Christ. We are with the Edmond Church of Christ and Oakcrest. But keep in mind, it's not perfect. They have all got their own little work. And I wish, and I'm trying to work with the Oklahoma Food Bank. We are actually on their roll, but no one seems to know anything about what we do with them. So the only thing that they could help us with, though, probably would be food that's about to expire, and they could give us some. But we're not closed to any suggestions. In fact, that might be something, if you know of other organizations. Roland, would you grab Marvin and start picking up some of the... We didn't mean to take so much time. Sorry.
Kyle doesn't mind. Kyle doesn't mind at all.
Kyle.
I'm going to introduce Kyle.
Okay.
Are you good?
Through.
Okay. I just want to leave you with a thought and a scripture, and then I'm going to turn over to Kyle Reuter and his ministry. This is from Matthew 25. I know you're all familiar with it. Verse 31. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, sorry, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And the king will answer them, Truly, I say to you, as you did to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. All right, thank you. Kyle.
Pretty much guaranteed I'll drop it if I do that. My name is Kyle Reuter, and I am very thankful to be able to lead the Finance Committee. We took over a couple of years ago from Dennis, who did an amazing job Dennis Mitchell, who did an amazing job for decades. I don't know exactly how many years it was, but it was a long time. Dennis did a fantastic job. What's that? 22. Anyway. We got to take over a couple of years ago. We've got a good group. That picture up there is my family. My son Grayson got married recently, and his new wife Sydney, and Peyton is on the left side, and my wife Jenny is on the right. The Finance Committee, Keith Bowman helps us a lot, and Jackie Bonney and then Holly Gooch are the four of us that kind of help with that ministry. We are in charge of counting the contribution and getting it deposited every week, accounting for the money. Obviously, Tracy is a big part of that in the office, paying the bills, doing the budget process, etc. Anybody that would like to get involved or wants to help, we would love to have you. Anyone that wants to get involved, just give me a call or come see me sometime, and we'll be happy to figure out a way to plug you in. They asked me to review the numbers that we have so far this year. If you don't mind going to that first one, that we had our corporate meeting yesterday, and so we put together a little summary for the corporate meeting, and I think Peter has a copy of it up there. Kind of hard to see, but he's going to zoom in on the top part, and we'll kind of scroll down. I've also got copies of it on paper. If you want to go through any of it, or if you have any questions, you can certainly ask. But effectively, we started off, contributions so far this year are there are some creative ways to contribute to the church. And I'm a financial advisor. It's what I do for a living, and we help a lot of clients do this sort of thing. If any of you have an IRA and you know the initials RMD, required minimum distributions, that's money that you have to take out of that account every single year. Well, there's a rule that if you're over 70 and a half years old, you can take money out of your IRA and give it directly to a charity. It's called a qualified charitable distribution, and it doesn't show up as taxable on your tax return. So you can give money directly to the church, as an example, and it doesn't show up on your tax return. Right now, with the standard deduction as high as it is, a lot of people don't get to itemize their deductions. They can't say, well, I gave X amount to the church this year and have it written off because that standard deduction is so much bigger. Well, if you give it directly out of your IRA, it counts as satisfying your required minimum distribution, and it's not taxable. So effectively, you get the deduction in a little bit different way. But a lot of our clients like to do those. We do quite a few of them every year. But you have to be 70 and a half years old. And you may not be required to do RMDs until you're 73 or 75, depending on the rules. But you can go ahead and start that as long as you're 70 and a half. So that's one way. Peter, if you want to go to that next picture on that same file. Kind of hard to see, but effectively, it was an example of giving appreciated securities to the church. So there's a brokerage account, and in this case, if you had $5,000 worth of Coca-Cola stock, you paid $2,500 for it a long time ago, and instead of selling it and either living on it or selling it and giving that money to the church, you can give those shares of Coca-Cola to the church, and then effectively you don't have to pay the capital gains tax, and neither does the church. So you can give appreciated stock and save yourself a little bit of money on taxes if you would have had to otherwise sell it and pay that tax. So there are some different ways. Some people will do legacy planning. If you have your will or trust or whatever it is and you want to leave money to the church, a great way to do that for your family is to leave some money that is in your IRA to the church as a beneficiary, and that way your heirs don't have to pay the tax on it. It goes tax-free to the church. There's some different things that you can do if you want to do some of that planning. I don't think you hear that a lot from people here. We don't get up and pound the table on that a lot, but if you have any questions or if you want to talk about it, I'm happy to talk about it anytime. There's no cost on selling the securities. It's done for free, so there's no friction on donating that stock or IRA gifts or any of that sort of thing. 12 minutes, sorry. Anybody have any questions or thoughts or concerns that they want to talk about? Yes, ma'am. The new mom ministry, I'm not 100% certain. It's part of Kids Crew, and that's Angela. And so Angela would be very equipped to answer that question. I'm sorry, I should know that, but I don't. The new mom ministry is what Betty Lou asked about. Any other thoughts? Well, thank you all for your time. If you need anything, please come find me. Appreciate it. Missed.
Good morning. So next week, it was going to be my opportunity to get to talk to you about missions. And I was going to go ahead and cover a little bit about each one because we have a lot that you all are involved in with your contributions every week or 2 weeks or a month, however you give. So July the 6th, the Sunday after, or it's actually this next Sunday, we're privileged to have the Markhams from Operation Ecuador. And so they'll be bringing information to our class, and hopefully we'll have others join us from the adult classes and maybe even some of the youth to hear about this marvelous work in Ecuador. 35 years old last year, got to go down for a fantastic 35-year celebration. I'm sure they'll mention it and probably show some pictures in the adult class next Sunday. But if you can imagine, so they go down there in their third 35 years. At the 35th annual celebration they had in Ecuador, there were over 1,400 attendees. Only 60 of them were from the States. Some of these people came 12 hours by bus to be there. The majority were between 4. A lot of them came even 4 to 6 hours to this event. That was an all-day event the last day we were there. So I hope you'll be in attendance next Sunday to hear them. They're wonderful, marvelous people. We've been with that ministry for over 20 years now. So please be here if you can. Thank you very much.